Welcome! In this explainer, we're going to tackle one of the most fundamental ideas in all of programming. Now, it's a concept so simple, you actually use it every single day without even thinking about it, but it is the absolute key to making your code smart. So, let's dive right in.
It really all starts with this question. And believe it or not, if you can understand how a simple light switch works, you're already on your way to understanding how programs make decisions. It seems almost too basic, right? But this one simple analogy is the key that unlocks everything.
So let's really focus on that switch. We're going to connect this everyday object you have in your house directly to a core concept in the Python programming language.
I mean, think about it for a second. A light switch is absolute. The light is either on or it's off. There's no maybe, there's no kinda on. It's a clear binary choice. It's one or the other. And that clarity, that is exactly what a computer needs to make a decision. And this is where it all connects. On this slide, you can see that perfect mapping from our real-world switch to the world of programming. In Python, the idea of on is simply called true. And off, that's just false. That's it. That's the whole idea. And this special true or false value, that's what we call a Boolean. Okay, so let's make it official. It's time to properly meet the brain of our code's logic. This is where we stop talking about light switches and start talking like programmers.
And here it is. A Boolean is just a special type of data that can only ever have one of two values, true or false. Fun fact, it's actually named after a mathematician, George Boole, who came up with this whole system of logic way back in the 1800s. Its power is all in its simplicity.
So why is this so incredibly useful? Well, Booleans are the perfect way to track the state of anything in your program. Think about it. Is the user logged in? That's true or false. Is the video player currently paused? True or false? Has the player completed the level? True or false? They give your program a way to answer any yes or no question it might have. All right, theory is one thing, but let's see how this actually works in a real piece of code. We're going to build a quick little check, maybe for a movie streaming website. Okay, so first we set up our conditions. We're going to say our user is logged into the site, so we'll set the variable is logged in to true. But, it looks like they haven't paid for their subscription yet, so we're going to set has paid subscription to false. Right there, we have the complete state of our user stored in two simple Booleans.
And now for the magic. Our code can use those facts to make a decision. This if statement right here checks if both is logged in and has paid subscription are true. But since has paid subscription is false, the whole condition fails. It's not true. So what happens? The code completely skips that first print statement and jumps down to the else block, telling the user to please subscribe. See? It's simple, it's logical, and it's incredibly powerful.
Now, using Booleans is super easy, but there are two golden rules you absolutely have to follow. Getting these right will help you avoid some of the most common mistakes that beginners make. Let's make sure you never fall into these traps. Okay, rule number 1. In Python, true and false must start with a capital letter. If you type lowercase true, you're just going to get an error. And rule number 2, and this one is so important, never, ever, ever put them inside quotation marks. Let's see exactly why.
Here is the critical difference. On the left, when we say is active equals true, we're creating a logical state. The computer understands this as a concept, like on or off. But on the right, when you put true in quotes, you're not creating logic. You're just creating the word true. It's just a piece of text, what we call a string. Your code can't perform logic on a simple word.
All right, you've seen the concept, you've seen the code, and you know the rules. So it's time for a quick challenge, just to make sure everything is clicked into place.
So, imagine you're coding a game. You need a way to track if the player is still alive. What's the best way to store that information? Is it option A, creating a variable called lives_remaining and checking if it's 0? Or is it option B, creating a Boolean variable called isAlive and setting it to true or false? Which one is the cleaner choice? Take a second to think it over. Okay, got your answer? If you chose B, you are absolutely correct. That is, by far, the most direct and clear way to handle this situation. So why is it better? I mean, technically, option A could work. You could write code that checks if lives remaining equals 0. But option B is just so much simpler. The variable name itself, isAlive, is literally a yes or no question, and its value false is a direct, crystal clear answer. It just makes your code way cleaner and easier for anyone to read.
And by understanding this one simple concept, you've really mastered the brain of Python.
You've grasped the fundamental building block of all decision-making in code, from a tiny script all the way up to complex artificial intelligence.
Just think about what that means. By combining this simple true-false logic with what you already know about variables and math, you now have the complete toolkit to make your programs respond intelligently to all kinds of different situations.
If this explainer helped clear things up for you, a like and subscribe would be amazing. It really helps us create more content just like this.